All right, welcome to Balcony Talk with the Nelsons, the Love and Truth podcast, where real, honest, and meaningful conversations thrive. I'm James Nelson, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife,
Lanae,
and our vision is simple yet powerful.
to provide a safe space for couples to explore the depths of love and truth.
Here, guilt, condemnation, and anger have no place as we explore the intricacies of relationships with authenticity and respect.
Join us on this journey of connection, understanding, and genuine dialogue.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's
Let's
go.
go.
All right. So excited to be back in the studio once again.
Yes.
Appreciate you guys tuning in, all of the support that you guys are showing on our socials, on our page. Just a lot of good feedback, conversation, dialogue. And that's what it's really about. We're just trying to start conversations.
Yes.
We're trying to get the world back to communicating.
Yes, that's all. But speaking of communication, I want to thank One Marriage and Two Hustlers, and this is where we actually air our podcast.
Recording, yeah.
Record,
Yeah.
record. It will air May 28th. However, we appreciate them, y'all. They have the greatest setup. If you are a podcaster and looking for somewhere to go, we are going to put that in the comment section on our page.
Definitely. If you don't have the setup, these guys are A1 professionals.
Yes.
So definitely you should contact them.
Yep.
And since we're doing that,
Okay.
we're talking about sponsors. We also have another sponsor that I want to just kind of highlight here, Solomon and Bryant. They actually sponsored our episode number 3.
Yes.
Several weeks ago. Solomon and Bryant Wines, and we've talked, and it's an official partnership. They will be an official sponsor for the Balcony Talk Love and Truth podcast. Again, this is a family-owned wine company here located right in Texas. All of their wines are handcrafted from the finest grapes from all over the country, around the world. Blackberries, cherries. Each wine is blended right here in the factory, right here in West Columbia, Texas, the facilities. So again, locally owned, blended right here in Texas. I think you can find them in various stores, but you can go to their website, Solomon and Brian, and we'll make sure that we put the links on all of our socials so you can go out and partake. They've got several blends. They've got a green apple sweet. If you like a sweet wine, they've got a cranberry sweet. They've got a red blend, a cab, a merlot, and a pinot. So, and we've tried them all, and they taste great. So, want to shout out Solomon and Bryant. Again, thank you for the partnership and the sponsorship. Go out and support. Also, when you go to the website, if you enter in code B2 2024,
BT.
I'm sorry, B2.
BT.
B2K. BT, as in Balcony Talk.
Yeah.
2024. And then you'll be able to take advantage of the available discounts at that time. Okay?
All right.
One more.
Okay.
Right, one more.
One more.
If you notice, the wife is donned in the brand apparel, as am I. Two different versions of the brand. And this is our clothing line that we promote. It's called I Am the Brand 365. So if you go to our website, I Am the Brand 365, you can order you some merch. And here's why I love this brand. I actually created this back in 2021.
Yep.
And it's really a positive affirmation apparel company. And every time we travel, we always have on our brand apparel. And when we're in the airport, we're stared at, we're approached, and we're in the elevator. It doesn't really matter where we are. People always ask, well, what's the brand? What's the brand?
What is it?
And so I explained kind of that you're the brand, right? Every last one of you guys are your own personal brand. But it's also a great segue into our podcast because they say, what's the brand? And we, hand them our card and they say, we're a podcast, Balcony Talk with the Nelsons, the Love and Truth podcast. This is one of our brands. So I say it's a great conversation starter.
It is a great conversation starter.
And if you have a brand that you're trying to promote and get out there and you want someone to engage you, I would highly recommend you go purchase some apparel and use it as a marketing tool for you. So again, that website will also be in the links as
Yes.
well and on our profile.
Yes, it will.
Okay, all right. I think that's all with
That's
that.
it? Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How was we hadn't been in the studio for a second, but how was this past week for you?
No, it was good. Very busy week. Again, still doing the corporate grind thing. So, I'm big just on leadership. When I have an opportunity to really mentor and to pour into my team or individuals within my organization, I find joy in that. That's honestly outside of this podcast that we're doing now.
Right.
My biggest passion is developing leaders. And so anytime I have an opportunity to do that, it brings me a lot of joy. So yeah, it's good. Good week.
So that's one of the things that I love about you because you really do pour into people. Oftentimes, people just say things, but you normally your partner, because if you lying about it, they like looking at you sideways,
Right.
like. But I know that you really do that, and I know that you are very good at that, and I know that I've often said at certain times, babe, why are you doing all of that? But it's you, and I got to see you genuinely love to pour into people. So just saying.
I appreciate that. And
Yes,
you?
yes. So I've had a great week. We got some stuff on the table that we're not presenting right now, but I am excited. This was like such an amazing week for me because we're not announcing it right now, but one of the things that we've been cooking up, we're seeing it, we're getting to see, we executed it, so we're getting to see it come to fruition.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The manifestation of something that we said a while back. So just that alone,
Yeah.
I don't care what else happened, I've had an amazing week.
Very excited.
So thank
about
you for
that.
asking.
Yes, and when it's time to make that big announcement,
Yeah.
we will definitely share.
Yeah.
And again, like vision, right? We say our vision is simple yet powerful.
Right.
This is a manifestation of something that we spoke 2 years ago.
2020.
2020.
So it wasn't 2 years ago.
Oh, what year is it?
This is
Oh
2024.
no, 4 years ago.
But funny how time flies when you're
Yes.
having fun.
Yes.
That's what Janet Jackson said. So
That's
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yes, that was 2020,
That
baby.
was 2020. That's
So
right.
so just for to catch everybody up on what we're talking about, like, what are you talking about? We said that we wanted to start this podcast in 2020.
Yes.
Okay. We did a couple of clips, and it's funny. We went back and looked at them.
Couple
kinda,
of lives. That we
Yeah,
did on
yeah,
Facebook
yeah.
or
We were
whatever.
trying to do it. It wasn't fancy like we're
Yeah.
in the studio.
We were
now.
literally on the balcony.
We were literally
No mic.
literally on the balcony.
No speakers.
Nothing.
Nothing.
But we had a vision,
We had a vision.
and that was the important part.
Right.
Because if you don't have a vision, what happens?
Yeah, it's gonna fall.
Yeah, you gotta have one.
Gotta have a
Everybody
vision.
has one, and then you have to execute it, and that's the other part. So, all right,
Okay, well, cool.
okay.
So this week we're excited about all of
Season 1, episode 6.
season 1, episode 6. Right, we're in this thing.
We're in it.
And we did make a pivot, right? Just so you know, I mean, if you've seen our socials, we pivoted to every fourth Tuesday
Right.
is when we'll air the next episode.
Right.
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 And obviously, as things evolve and go, we'll look at it. But we decided to pull back just from the weekly because we just, number one, this news cycle and people's attention spans are not all that long. And
So
we're building
short.
right now. It's so short. And so we're building. So we're doing more and more just content creation, reels on subject matter that we feel are relevant in relationships.
Right.
And we're presenting that to the public because, again, our vision and our mission is to create a space where couples can have real honest and meaningful conversations, right? That's the whole objective. Like, that's what this podcast is all about, love and
Right.
truth. It's about how do we create a space where couples can see what real communication looks like and how it's modeled? Touching on the very difficult subjects, right? Things that a little get a little dicey or testy at times, but you have to have the conversation. And when you create that safe space, we call it the balcony, because that's where we actually have those
Created our safe
conversations.
space. Yes.
But it can be wherever you want. It can be in your living room. It can be at a coffee shop. It can be in your bedroom. It doesn't really matter where you call this safe space. But just know that
There,
when you're in that safe
and it
space,
needs to be created.
and it needs to be created, you need to agree that,
Yeah.
hey, we need to go to the balcony and talk, or we need to go, to the couch and
Right.
talk. Let's go to the dining room table. We need to have a conversation.
Right.
So that way, everybody knows that you're going to a neutral place.
No war zone.
No war zone, right? It's all about to have some real conversation.
Right.
So you were going to add.
Oh, I wasn't going to add anything. I was just going to say that's a great segue into what our topic is, which is grown folks business. Okay.
Yes.
Children and transparency.
Yeah, that's the topic.
Yep.
Right.
How much?
Well, hold on before you go there.
Okay.
Remember, we had a whole. So let's talk about this
Okay.
because we were talking earlier, and it's been in the news cycle, right? We wanted to kind of pull out
Okay.
this situation, right? Obviously,
Yeah,
if
it's a
you've been watching the
situation.
news cycle, the whole Brian McKnight
Right.
thing with his
His
kids, his
children.
biological kids,
His
his
adult
kids, children from his prior marriage.
Right.
He's since remarried.
So let me just make it clear. So from my understanding, he has 2 boys from his previous marriage.
Right.
Then
he had a daughter somewhere
in between,
outside of the marriage.
yes. And these are who we're calling his biological children.
Yes.
Okay, put a pin right there.
Put a pin right there.
So you keep going.
And so he's since remarried.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's had 1 kid.
Yes, because one passed away, and then he has another one now.
Right, he has his 1 kid with his new wife. And she had a daughter and a son,
yes,
I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he bought her a car, and then he travels with the
stepson.
bonus. I say bonus, but
bonus,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. And so it's just a huge debate about, is he wrong? Is he right? Is he disowning his kids? Every morning I'm driving to work, I'm listening to Ricky Smiley. They were talking about it on the show,
right?
And then Ricky goes on after the show and is making an appeal to the kids, the grown kids,
yes,
the adult
children,
saying that if you need something, we're here for you,
right?
And so, just wanted to kind of
dissect it just a little bit,
just a little bit.
So, what question would you ask me?
No, just what are your thoughts on the situation?
Okay, so my thoughts are, from what I understand, with the knowledge that I have, I'm speaking into that. I heard his adult children get onto social media and disrespect their father. That is where I have an issue. Okay. Mm-hmm. What they said is that the dad stopped giving them money. Mm-hmm. At what, how long am I supposed to support you? You are an adult now, because now I've become an enabler. And so if that's it, again, from my knowledge of what I understand, I don't think that it was right for the father to not cut them off or stop, providing whatever here and there. Because people argue this, but I don't have to give you money. After you're 18, I can really be done if I want to.
Right.
I can. However, most of the time, good parents don't. But it depends on what's happened. But if you're disrespecting me, all bets are off.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Oh man, it's a tough situation, and it's a real one.
It is real,
right? Because sometimes the stigma is placed on, particularly when you're a provider, mm-hmm. and you're financially providing and you're well off, and and the kids grow accustomed to a certain lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and then something changes in that, you kind of get hit with two stigmas. It's like, well, you were only financially there, you weren't there emotionally for us, right?
Yeah.
Or if they can't be there financially, but they're emotionally, well, you couldn't provide. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. And so I think that number one, people go to social media too much to air out personal matters.
Right.
I mean, that's the first thing for
Agreed.
me. Like you,
Agreed.
all going to social media about everything in your personal life. I just think we've gotten to a
I
place in
disagree with that too.
society where we just air everything out on social media,
Mm-hmm.
live and in person.
Right.
So I think that if there were some unresolved issues, then that's where you need to go behind closed doors and try to work through those issues.
Agreed.
And if it's just that, well, hey, I'm 35 and you're still not taking care of me. Well, okay, well, I don't agree with grown children expecting their parents to take care of them.
No.
Now, to me, it shifts, right? 18, 25, let's say you're in college and you get up
Correct.
to 24, 25, and then
And
you
I
finally
have
get
you
in.
while you're in college.
Right, that's what I'm saying, though. But then even graduating college, because you graduate doesn't mean you're gonna get a job. Still a support. I'm
Right.
here to support, right?
Right.
And support doesn't just come financially. Support
Right.
is wisdom, knowledge. You're coming to me for advice, guidance,
Mm-hmm.
direction. But see, my issue is that when you don't want that,
But you just want the money.
right? And I've given you, like, keep in mind, up through all of this time, if this was the case, I'm giving you wisdom. I'm saying, hey, here's what you need to do. Hey, here's a strategy. Hey, go to school for this.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, start this do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving you all of that, but you're not doing anything with it. And you're refusing to take that counsel and that advice.
Yeah.
Well, at some point,
there's going to be
that well is going to run dry.
And it's going to be a pivot, and it's going to be a hard pivot because as a parent, my job is to make sure that I've, taught you good values, morals, help to mold the character as much as I could. Obviously, there's going to be some funding in that because that's what parents do. I had you, I need to. But at a certain point, I am not required to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I am not required as a parent. So I think the big issue is the disrespect, though.
And that's where, and we're going to jump into a few other things here too, but I think that's where the issue comes into play.
Yes.
Because when it crosses a line to where now you feel like you're an adult and you can just talk and say whatever you want to say,
you can just handle your parent. No,
to me that's where it gets out of pocket.
That's where
and
the
it
problem
becomes
lies.
disrespectful.
Right.
And and boundaries are crossed.
Correct.
And so that's the thing. So
yeah.
Anyway, just I mean, hey, pray for all of them. Pray for everybody. Because I know there's trauma is real.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. And everybody's so opinionated.
Right.
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 And I know we're here giving our opinion, but my opinion is neutral.
Mine is neutral as well.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I don't know the whole story. I don't know what originated to get it to where it is. However, I do know some things that have been spoken out of the father's mouth that I think that we all want to say that at a certain age we're mature. Right. But here's the thing. Sometimes in certain spaces, we're not as mature as we need to be. And so there were some things that were said about the children acting like that they don't exist.
Right.
I do think that was an immature move or statement on his part. And, again, they're hurt, but there's probably something that he said that they've said that he's heard about too. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right. But hey,
And
anyway.
that's the thing. That's the thing. So, so pivoting to this topic, which we started that because this conversation, because this topic that we came up with around grown folks' business, children and transparency.
Yes.
Grown folks' business. Now, if you grow up in our generation, and I know you've heard this.
And people, they already know what we're about to say.
Listen, stay out of grown folks' business.
Stay in a child's place.
We would not dare insert ourselves into the business of our parents, uncles, aunts.
What about when they were talking when we were little and they were talking? It was like
Oh,
just a look.
no.
It was like a look like
No, no, no.
and you already knew you had messed up.
No, why are you talking?
Cuz these are adults talking.
Adults.
And now kids are not taught that part.
Listen, it would be so much so that it could be another adult, not even just an adult,
Right.
right? Not your mother, not your father, just
Just
another
an adult.
And you get out of line.
And I wish you would.
I wish you would.
And you're going to get a look. Like,
You're going to get a look, you're going to get a pop, you're going to get something to remind you.
Don't you
stay out of
ever do that
grown
again.
folks' business, right?
Yep.
So we wanted to explore that a little bit more, like stay out of grown folks' business,
Uh-huh.
children and transparency. So here's a specific topic, right? We want to get into this, right?
Okay.
How much should you tell your kids about issues that you're having in your relationship, right? Marriage, relationship, whatever. It could be mother and father. Maybe they're not married, but it's their relationship.
Right.
So that's what we want to dig into. How much should you really share about what's going on in your situation?
I don't
So
think
that
you
was
should
the question. So what was the question? The first question.
The first question is, do parents owe their children an explanation on why the marriage ended?
Or the relationship ended.
Or the relationship. We're just going to say marriage. Because
Okay, we'll say marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did it end? So I think that you can talk to them, and this is all according to being age appropriate.
Yeah.
Obviously we're going to talk to, if we're getting a divorce, we're going to talk to our children according to their age, and we're not giving them major details. But the first thing that we have to tell our children is that none of this has anything to do with you. This is not your fault. This is between mommy and daddy, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important because kids can think that they did something
Right.
depending on their age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even and I can say this, even teenagers, because y'all know sometimes when we teenagers and we start feeling ourselves and smelling ourselves, we get real attitude-ish, and we cause our parents to be pulled in, and now they're fussing about what we did. And if they decide that the marriage isn't working, we'll say it must be my fault. So this is why I say we have to tell whatever age they are, even adults. This had nothing to do with y'all. This has been going on for a while.
Yeah. And so to add to that, right, tailoring the information to the child's age
Right.
and or maturity level,
Okay.
right?
Because just because we're adults doesn't mean we're mature.
Yeah. So young children need simple explanations. While, like you said, older kids, teenagers, is a little bit more nuanced. Like they got enough information about life
Yeah.
that we got to expand on kind of what's going on. Because part of it is that we're trying to groom them for when they become adults.
Right.
Right. They're going to have to deal with conflict, deal with issues, deal with situations, deal with relational things, right? They're
Right.
probably just starting, if they're in their teenage years, high school, starting to date, how to deal with communication and those types of things, right?
Right.
But I think the other key thing that you said was assuring the children that it has nothing to do
No.
with you.
No.
It is not your fault. Because what happens is when there's a breakup, divorce or whatever, that attacks the kid's security level, right?
Right.
And they don't feel secure anymore. And they think, well, they were good, just thinking, they were good before I got here. Now I'm here. It must be me.
It must be me, right?
Right?
Taking ownership of something that they should.
That has nothing to do with that. So
Correct.
you've got to reassure, the kids that, hey, it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
This mom and dad are working through some things right now, or some things aren't working right now. But rest assured, we both still love you,
Right.
and just know that it's not your fault.
Okay.
What else?
Well, I mean, for that, I think that
So I think we both agree that you have to
you say something.
you have to say something.
But you need to make sure that what you both are saying.
It's
You guys are,
consistent.
yes, you're in agreement, almost like a script. And it's like, this is what we're going to say, but this is what we're not going to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
which leads into the next question.
Hmm.
How important is it to not lay blame on the other parent or speak negatively to the children about the other parent? Now this is real
Listen,
deep right here, guys, because
listen,
this is done every day.
listen. When you're dealing with young adults, young kids, children being used as weapons,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
your daddy did this or your mama, whatever it is, that is so destructive
It is.
to the psyche of that kid. Um, you should never lay blame on the other because again, it has nothing to do
With the
with the kid.
kid, y'all got
Y'all got
together.
issues.
Y'all got
Whatever y'all issues
together.
were,
Y'all got
right?
together. Y'all created this whole life knowing that most of the time y'all shouldn't even been together in the first place. And then the audacity after you get a divorce to, go to that kid, which you already knew. And most of the time, women, I'm just gonna talk to the women, you knew before y'all got married, this is not my guy, but you did it anyway. You ran stop signs, red lights, yield
You
signs.
got with Lonzo anyway.
Yes, and you wanted Rolonzo, you got Rolonzo. And then the audacity to have a kid and then talk about your daddy is this when you knew that was not the guy for you.
So here's
That
a,
is very wrong.
that very and so here's the thing. So let's use that
Mm-hmm.
that side of it. You're talking about you got a son, and we
Mm-hmm.
know that in our community, too many kids have been raised by single mothers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're talking about the father
Mm-hmm.
in a not so positive light.
Right.
He ain't this. He ain't that.
The black father.
The black father. And then you're talking to a black son, and he looked just like his daddy. Do you realize that you are telling him the same thing that you're saying about his father?
Yeah.
That he might be internalizing that? That he might start to feel that he ain't this or he ain't that either?
Right.
And then when he gets a little bit older, teenage years, you just like your daddy.
Right.
Now, and we were looking at this video yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
This kid was talking about how his mother kept him away from his father all those years.
Mm-hmm. Weaponizing.
All those years and saying all of these things. And I don't want to just, it's not one sided because it can go both ways.
Oh,
But I
absolutely.
would just use this example. And he finally got in contact with his dad, and it was the complete opposite of what his mom was describing. And she robbed this son of the power and
Yeah.
the impact that a father, black father, can have on his son.
Right.
So it just it pains me to know that we're still doing this, knowing all of the history and
Mm-hmm.
all of that that's happening to us, you know, post slavery, Reconstruction, all of these things that have happened, and the dividing of the black family, that we continue to perpetuate that narrative. And I know, listen, I know
Right.
there's a lot of programs out there that are uplifting black men. I'm not saying there's not. I'm simply saying getting down to the micro level.
Yeah. But.
That's on a macro level, but getting down to the micro level,
Mm-hmm.
to the individual, one on one, we've got to do better. And you cannot blame the father or the mother, or you can't espouse that to the kid that it's his fault or her fault why y'all not together.
Yeah, but I think that any person, any woman or man that has ever used your child to try to keep it from either or parent, I think that that's sick to me. I'm gonna use that word. It's sick and it's sickening because you chose that person to lay down with and have this child. I'm gonna reiterate that, and to because they did something that you did not like, for you to try to keep that child away from their other parent, or to pump all type of um, disparaging remarks, and just belittle the other parent because you are upset with the other person. That is absolutely not right. I really have a problem with that.
Yeah, and you said it's sick and sickening, and I'll
Yes,
add another one to that. It's a sickness.
it is a
Like
sickness.
mentally,
Yeah.
you've got, because we talk about past traumas, generational things, right?
Right.
And I know mental health, mental wellness is a real thing. And I'm glad there's so many out there just really putting the resources out there to help people deal and heal from past traumas.
Right.
We got to we just have to keep in mind that these babies or children are being impacted by that,
By your
by your
words, by
words.
your actions. And I mean, I don't know what it is about parents these days that you can't just tell your child anymore. And I'm just off subject a little bit. Do as I say. That
Right.
has never been. How many times we've heard this? Like, I remember
Do
being
as I say,
little.
not as I do.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna do what we see you do. Which, and the reason why I said this is because if I'm talking bad about your dad, like let me say this: if my mom is talking bad about my father, at some point when I grow up, and if I have children, I'm going to repeat that. It's going to be the same cycle.
Right.
Okay, we don't want to do that. I don't know whoever thought that was right
Most of what we learn is caught and not
and not
taught.
taught.
We
That's
watch
good.
it, we observe it,
Right.
we see it. And then I want to say this before I forget,
Okay.
the whole adage, because you said words matter.
Right.
Going back to this whole thing, like sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt.
Biggest lie
That biggest
ever.
lie ever.
I don't even know
But
who said that. We need
uh,
to go look up and who
somebody that's trying to
said
perpetuate
that.
deception, because words matter
Hurt.
and they
And they
hurt
hurt.
deeper than a physical wound in many cases.
Absolutely, because you can hit me and I can get a black eye and that goes away. Those words, they stick and I hear it over and over and over again in my head.
Yeah, but I would never hit you with
Not
all the stuff
I
that's going on
no
out here
baby.
now.
I
I'm
know.
like,
I know you, and I know you're not like P Diddy.
yeah, yeah. So,
Uh-oh. But anyway, yeah,
somebody grab a reel. If you hit me, then that's next. That's a little snippet. But anyway, no. To your point, I don't do that.
nah, my husband's not like that. He's
So,
gentle.
so again, words matter,
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
These kids did not decide to come into this world, and I know because now we're on the side where we're talking about the kids and grown folks' business, but I think there was a period of time where we over-indexed in communicating to our kids, and giving them too much information. They've got an
Absolutely.
overload on information.
Right.
And the challenge now is that they have access to so much information, so you almost have to get in front of it to make sure that it's not taken out of context.
Right.
So you can't just not talk to your kids about real life issues anymore because they've got access to so much information.
Right.
They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on the internet. They're talking to friends that have situations in their homes. So you have to equip your kids. But again, it's about age appropriate, maturity level,
Yes.
and how much you share with them about I don't want to get too far off our subject, about your personal situation between you and your spouse, and what do you share with your children.
Well, what you don't share is your dad did X, Y, and Z, and I am so hurt and I feel like this. That's what you don't share.
Right.
Women, don't share all of the intricate details about how you feel, because what it's going to do is absolutely going to, for some children, it's going to sway their loyalties toward you, and then they're going to feel a certain way about their dad. We have, as women, especially even having sons, like it's something about the opposites. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So if I have a son and if I tell my son, your dad did this and he hurt me, my son more than likely is going to be like, oh, really? And then he's going to probably act a different way toward his dad.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
I think that what it does is it creates feelings of divided loyalty
Yeah.
because you're saying all of this about the other parent and
Hmm.
you're hurt about whatever happened in the relationship. You're hurt,
Right.
right? And
Hmm.
you're telling your kids all of these details. He did this or she did that. And you're expressing all of your hurt
Right.
feelings about it. Now you've just created conflict within that child
Yeah,
because they still love the other parent.
they do.
They still, I mean, you can't, that's innate. You can't take that from them.
No.
As painful as it is, it's still there.
Right.
And so now you've got kids that are walking around conflicted because, okay, my dad did this to my mom, but I still love my dad. So what do I do with that?
Right. And so
What,
now,
how do
now
I,
you're
how do I
making them
handle
have
that?
to, and then you're making them, you're
It
pressing them
adds stress.
to make a choice.
It adds
Yes,
stress.
because if I say, well, hey, mom, I'm gonna go to dad's, and then now mom looking a certain type of way, more than likely I'm gonna be like, you know what, I'm not gonna even go because I see my mom sinking in a place because I said that. That is why words are so important, and they're detrimental.
Yeah,
They are
they can be
detrimental,
very damaging.
very, and we just never want to do that as parents. Don't
No.
put your kids, you know,
Don't, that life is stressful enough.
enough. So even in our situation, let me use us. We made an agreement. We're not talking about our
Right.
exes. We made a pact, and we did because we chose our exes. You see what I'm saying? And
Right.
so we're not going to spew, all these
Negativity.
into our children to make them feel like, oh, I got to make a choice. Nope.
Mhm.
We're not. We said we weren't going to do that, and we have not. So oftentimes, there even may be questions as we go through this podcast life that people ask about our exes, and we're here to say we're not going to answer some questions, because if it's anything that we have to say negative, because here's, at the end of the day, we still have children by
Yeah.
our exes. We chose our exes
And grandchildren.
and grandchildren, so we're not going to do that. So, and I really appreciate that you and I are solid about that, and I
Hmm.
appreciate that we agreed on that, because
Yeah.
that's not the case for some relationships.
They don't.
Yeah.
They allow that to just run
Rampant.
rampant throughout the relationship, and it just creates all of this conflict
Right.
unnecessarily. So, but I just think it's important. We got to be open with your children about what's going on, so they're
Right.
not in the dark. To say nothing is not acceptable either.
No.
Yeah, you got to say something.
Because if you don't, people draw their own narrative.
And here's the deal. How many of y'all know, and your kids have probably told you this, that we already knew something was wrong. They already knew. They feel the
Yeah.
energy. They
Yes.
feel the vibration.
Yes.
In the house, it's always tense.
Right.
And so now they're tense and they're stressed, and we're creating all of this unnecessary stress on the children
Right.
because the household is stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So, just don't add to the stress. Life is stressful enough. Don't do that to the kids. And keep grown folks' business.
Right.
And here's the other thing: trying to gain loyalty
Mm-hmm.
and putting your kids in that situation is very challenging for the kid, right? They've got
Yeah.
divided loyalties. Because then going into the next question that we have,
Well, before you go on to that, I would say, for women or men that are doing that, you're being very selfish.
Yeah.
To try to place some, just trying to make your children just be in your corner, like forget about the other parent, as that they've never been there. It's a selfish move and a selfish act, and you want to
Right.
you want to check that and get help if that's the way you're feeling. So
yeah, Yeah, and so we were talking about the Brian McKnight situation. We both said, I don't know if it's out there, but I don't know that or at least I haven't read anything that the ex-wife has said. Has been more about what the kids have said about
Right.
what's happened. So,
Right.
so going into, again, a new relationship, right?
Right. Right.
So we just said all of the stress that can be created by words spoken, talking negatively about the spouse, oversharing about intricate details, about what happened in the relationship can cause stress and anxiety for the kids. Going through a divorce and having to go to school and deal with that, knowing that, oh, my parents are getting divorced, but I'm sitting in ninth grade,
Right.
stressed out.
Right.
Little do you know that little Timmy and his mom parents are going through divorce too, right?
Right.
These kids are being stressed out for no reason, right? And this is not just telling kids to stay in their place. We're saying grown folks, keep grown folks' business.
Yes. So sharing all of these intricate details about what happened and telling your children
That's
that
irresponsible.
it is irresponsible and it's not required. It's not required. I get it that there are different dynamics in relationships where people don't talk. Like for instance, there are moms out here right now that they are at a women's shelter because there was abuse. Well, the kids have seen that.
Right, right.
You see what I'm saying? So there's an understanding of this is why we had to flee.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was a safety issue. So I we're going to take that off the table because see that's something totally, different, right?
We're talking about a
to bring
scenario
that
where
up.
the relationship just didn't work. Not
Yes,
that you were being
yes,
abused.
but I wanted to bring that up because we have several women out here. Speaking of the Cassie don't have kids yet, but P Diddy does have kids, and I don't know why you would hit somebody and you have children,
Daughters.
especially daughters. Nevertheless, I wanted to bring that up because some women are like, well, I didn't have a choice, but then to tell my child because they've
Yeah.
seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there are also young adults that have seen it that their parents never came back to say, hey, I know you saw this man hit me. That is not right. Because now it's taken on
abuse, because it'd be physical or verbal. Abuse me.
Yes, because and both are correct because sometimes people don't think that they're being verbally abused when they are,
Yeah.
and the kids hear that, and then you grow up thinking, oh well, this is normal. This is always what I heard in my household. This is what I saw. I saw hitting. So, yeah.
I just want to make the connection that
No,
it ain't
right.
just
It's
the,
not
it ain't
just
just the
physical.
It's
verbal.
verbal, emotional,
Right.
mental abuse.
Yeah, that's right.
The manipulation
Right.
and all of those things. So just calling out, like, it could be all of those forms
Right.
of abuse.
Of abuse.
Not just the
'Cause it
physical.
doesn't just come in
doesn't
one
really
form.
matter because it still has an impact on the kids, whether
Yes.
it's physical, mental, emotional, verbal, right? I mean, all of that. So again, to your point, we have to talk about that.
We need to
to
talk
the kids.
about it.
And then let's say in the scenario, you have a daughter, and you have not you endured this for a period of time,
Right.
right?
Right.
So as to not repeat a cycle, you got to talk to your daughter about
And explain
what happened and the signs of abuse.
So but not let me interject. But I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about you to the degree that I tear you down, even though you may have abused me. But I want to tell my daughter, your dad did this. Your dad is not well at this time, but he's still your dad.
Yeah.
Because that's normally what happens, that we don't reiterate that this is your father. I know he did this to me and I know it was hurtful, but he's your dad. Because where you are at 21 doesn't mean that you're going to be there at 50.
Right.
And there's a whole change. But if I start to, say all of these negative things to you, to my child,
Right.
I don't care if you're 50, they still might not fool with you because my mama said you did this to her.
And then just putting a pin in that, if a man does this, right? Because this is what I've experienced, right?
Right.
Because it could be also that there's been a cycle of abuse,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Because again, Could be your dad right now, but it would probably maybe it was a boyfriend in college, and maybe it was a boyfriend. There was a cycle of that. But teaching your daughter that, hey, here are the signs of abuse, and here's what it looks like. And so, in that regard, again, talk about the maturity level.
Right.
Now you're mature. You're becoming a woman. I got to share some things with you. So,
Right.
good stuff.
That is good.
And then also talking to your sons
your
about
sons.
you don't treat women like this.
But and you know what we don't often talk about is women that are hitting on their husbands, and the children see that. You see what I'm saying? Like, this happens and we don't really talk about it, because if a man says, well, my wife is beating up on me and abusing me at home, they're like, well, you're weak. No, it's not that he's weak. It's that he doesn't want to hit his wife back, and you have kids that are observing what's going on. That is not how you were taught. So
Yeah, and
that
it is that too. But here's a subtlety
okay.
in this too,
Okay.
right? I would dare to say that more often than not, it's more verbal abuse
From women?
from women to men
Oh, I
than
would
physical
agree.
abuse.
I would agree.
Verbal, emotional, mental. So you can see your dad being manipulated, verbally, talked
Abused.
to crazy, abused or whatever, and he's just taking it because he has a certain level of patience, or it could be a number of things.
Right.
Right. Don't want to
Right.
get into all of that, but talking to your sons about, hey, how and what you allow
Right.
as a man.
How a woman is supposed to speak to you.
Right.
Yes.
So
I would agree.
We go down a whole other conversation
Yeah,
about
but that's
like what you
good.
sow and what you get. It's
Yeah.
a whole thing. It's all about healing too. So
Yeah, it is.
okay. So what was it? There was another one here. Are you reading that?
Establishing boundaries.
No, we kind of talked about
We
that.
kind of talked about that one. Well,
here's
you know what? I think we glossed over
yeah. So
it.
let's talk about that.
It's okay. So establishing boundaries when you've gotten a new
A new relationship.
and you and
So you're not talking negative about your ex.
yes.
And you're in a new relationship.
Yes. And then your children are coming around, because now they're having to get to know this new person. Like, so my mom and dad are not together anymore. I'm feeling some type of way about that. Possibly mom or dad has said something to me, or both have said one
Right.
about, something about the other.
Right.
Now I got to go over here and try to be introduced to this new relationship and this new person. And now it's up to, wherever you go. Let's just say for you and I, we had to establish boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what you do. So let's just say that, because what boundaries do you establish? Well, maybe they come in and they don't speak.
So I think the biggest is just respect.
Okay.
Listen, you don't have to like,
Right. Agree
with, and that's all fine. You're an adult, whatever the case may be, and if you're not an adult, you're a kid. You can feel
however you want to feel. Right.
And I'm not going to dismiss how you feel.
Right.
Right.
Right. But you got to be respectful.
But you got to be respectful.
Got to be respectful.
That is the number one boundary for me, is just respect.
Right.
I grew up, you don't walk into a house
and not
speak to adults. Tell me what house you walked into, if you're in our age group, Gen X, you walked in the house and you didn't speak. To every adult that was in the room.
Hello, how's everybody?
Doing? And you ain't say nothing.
What? Oh, it was going to be a whole problem. It was going to be a problem.
You're going to get checked on the spot.
Yeah, because I remember my great-grandmother. I just remember being a little kid, and I walked in the room. I didn't say anything, and she was like, did you sleep with me last night? I'm like, what? You didn't speak. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so when you walk in the room, you speak.
Man, we got to get back to this. Just
the basics.
The basics. Like, just...
Okay.
Staying out of grown folks' business.
Yeah, that's it.
Listen, and grown folks, keeping your business grown folk business.
Right.
Because this ain't all just on the children.
Well,
these adults that are oversharing with their children information that they don't need to have.
That they shouldn't be sharing. They should not.
Grown.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But that's good, because you have you have so many adults out here now, whether it's mom or dad, and their children are not a part of their life because of something that
Yeah.
has been said by the other party that they shouldn't have said. And that was wrong. That is wrong of you. If you are listening to me now, and if you are that person that did that, you need to go make that right, because it's a heavy weight for a child, even if they're your children, because they're trying to do a balancing act of making sure mom is happy. Dad, you already know Mother's and Father's Day, what that look like. So
Yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
just put it like that. So, but men have feelings too.
Yeah.
Fathers want to, they need their children, mothers.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That's good. No, it's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, at what point or age should you tell your children, your grown children, to mind their business?
To mind their business. The point is whenever they say something to overstep a boundary that I have in place.
Yeah.
Whenever that is, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
good. That's good.
You can be
That's
18,
good.
you can be 19, 25, you can be 40. If you overstep a boundary,
That we've set.
yes, I'm gonna let you know, and that's what it is.
No, no, that's good because we're open to. You got questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer
If
them.
you want to know kind of what happened, there's some
Yeah.
things that my dad passed away a few years ago. Um, Mom and dad divorced several years ago, and we were talking about this. That wasn't none of my business.
You never ask questions.
I never, you know, talked about their relationship.
Right.
As far as I saw, their relationship was their relationship. All the behind the scenes, closed doors. I don't know. They went. That's my mom and dad.
Right.
But when they got divorced, yeah, it was a challenge because financially things changed.
Yeah, the dynamics of everything changed.
Everything changed.
Right.
But
You didn't go question
I
your
didn't
mom
go.
or dad,
I didn't internalize what happened with them.
but you
And-
didn't go ask them either,
No,
correct?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't go ask.
Okay.
It was only years later that just in talking to my dad before he passed and just understanding different dynamics and talking to my mom about certain things and her just sharing,
Right.
quite honestly, she's probably shared more since we've been together just about the relationship, but I never asked about their business. And when, I just didn't ask.
So that's interesting because I've never asked my mom, like when she was in a relationship, I've never said what happened. I've never asked because I didn't think it was my place, and I didn't even think to ask. And I didn't think to ask because I'm like, well, I'm still here and I'm with my mom,
Yeah.
so hey, these people came in, but I guess taking it from a standpoint of if it was my real father, you know what I'm saying, and my mom. My dad passed away some years ago. My dad never said anything bad about my mom to me, and you know
No,
what? My mom never said anything bad about my dad. Like
that's
when I say never,
never,
my mom never said anything about
never.
Aaron Taylor. She never said anything. Aaron Taylor never said anything to me about my mom.
Never.
So I didn't have to make choices or do
I didn't
any
feel
of
that
that.
what we talked about earlier. I didn't feel the stress
Yeah.
of having to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never heard my mom say anything negative about my dad and vice versa.
Yeah,
And
me either.
ironically enough,
Me either.
after they were best of friends, like they were just really good friends. So that's what I saw because I never heard any negative.
I didn't.
And
I didn't
truthfully, when I did have conversations with my dad, as I got older, I was asking him more things about him.
him than the
And
relationship.
then I began to understand, okay, well, man, I was in situations. Okay, now that sounds like what I did,
Right.
right?
Right.
Not about him and my mom, but I'm saying as a man, choices, decisions, like why it wasn't about their relationship. It was about I'm talking to my
decision.
father
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
him so
Right.
I can understand me. Particularly when I was going through my period after the divorce, I was going to counseling, and just things were getting uncovered.
Mm-hmm.
I began to realize some of the um, same challenges after talking to my dad. Okay, well, I'm like, I wish you would have told me that, bro. I could have dealt with that differently
Right.
had we talked about it. But
Right.
me being an adult, I never asked.
And I think that sometimes our parents as adults, they didn't know what to share with us because they hadn't been taught to share certain
Right.
things. And so, it's that generational thing, and I get it. And so that's why we're sitting here now and we're like, what do you say to your like, where does the line cross when your children are trying to get into your business about you and your new significant other? Like, what does
Yeah,
that look like?
I know. And that thing that we talked about earlier that we can't share, um, we're
Yeah.
talking about because this is the real right here.
Yeah, it's so real.
Because it's like, what do you? I didn't know what to ask. I didn't know. I mean, I had no idea
Right.
of how to even approach the conversation.
Right. I didn't either.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't know
I
what
didn't
to
know
ask.
what to ask. Like
Yeah.
what? I mean,
And when you don't know, what do you don't know?
you just don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Okay.
so at what age you feel like? I think you said you answered it very well. At that point when you start crossing boundaries.
Yeah, then that's the
But that's when I tell
age.
you to mind your business.
Yes.
You can be 20, you can be
Right.
25, you can be 30, you can be 35.
Right.
If you cross that respect boundary that I've established,
Right.
that ain't your business.
Right.
You're out of pocket.
Yeah.
And then you call it back.
And I'm gonna drop this nugget. I think that we need to make sure as women, especially y'all know, if the roles are different. If you are my husband and you just weren't a good husband, that has nothing to do with you not being a good father. And so
Yeah.
we need to make sure that we are allowing our children to know he might not have been good for me, but he's taking care of y'all. And you need to
good.
make sure that those children understand that. It's very important for children, I don't care what age they are, to have a father that speaks into their lives. That's just what I believe, and I'm sticking to it.
I think that's powerful. I think we should close it right
All
on
right.
that.
There we go.
Because that is good. He may not have been a good husband,
But he's a great
but he's a
father.
great father to you. And you need
Right.
to know that.
Yeah.
Father's Day is coming up next month. So honor
Restaurants
your father.
won't be filled.
They won't be filled. But honor your fathers.
So crazy.
I know what you're telling me.
And don't go buy a tie. Can you do something else for your father, please, on this Father's
We don't
Day?
even wear ties no more.
Oh, y'all don't. Y'all don't. Y'all don't.
But anyway, listen. Thank you guys for tuning in to Balcony Talk with the Nelsons, the Love and Truth podcast,
Yes.
where real, honest, and meaningful conversations thrive. I'm James.
And I'm Lanae. Please be sure to go subscribe, like, and share.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.